Welcome to Kids Recall. In today's video, we'll be going through the 2021 animation family movie, Ron's Gone Wrong. It's time to recall. Let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie starts and we see a very futuristic world in which the CEO of a tech company named Mark is about to unveil their latest invention. It turns out that it's a robot. It has a lot of features, and it's going to work with kids as their friends. They call it Bebot. It is actually a digital friend with a lot of talent, like it's gonna figure out all the habits of the owner and will react accordingly. As time goes by, the invention becomes really popular in the city, and almost everyone has a Bebot by now. And if you don't have one, you're not cool enough. We see a kid named Barney. He unfortunately does not have a Bebot, so people don't like him. He has no friends either, and all the other kids are always busy with their Bebot, so he starts feeling very lonely. His former childhood friends, Savannah Meads, Rich Belcher, Noah, and Ava, have all become absorbed by their individual Bebots. Even one of his teachers starts to feel for Barney for being so alone, and she makes him sit on a bench where all the cool kids are in hopes that the other students will become friends with him. But it backfires as they make fun of him. Barney gets hurt and right away goes home. He lives with his father and his grandmother. We get to know that it's Barney's birthday, but he has not invited anyone because he doesn't want to feel embarrassed. His father, Graham, and his grandmother, Donka, come to realize that he doesn't have any friends. When his father brings a gift for him, it turns out to be a toolbox. And it upsets Barney, but he doesn't say anything because he knows his father can't afford a Bebox. In the meantime, the doorbell rings, and Barney goes out to find a packed gift on his doorstep. He thinks it could be a Bebox, but when he opens it, it's just stone. Then a lot of other boys appear from the bushes, and it turns out that this was the plan of a bully named Rich. Barney is again laughed at by everyone, and he gets really upset. His father and his grandmother finally decide that they're going to get a Bebot for him. They hastily go to a bubble store, but it closes for the day, leading them to buy a slightly damaged one from the store's delivery driver. Barney is really happy to see the new Bebot. He excitedly tries to activate it, but it doesn't work. When it finally does get switched on, it keeps on demanding to be connected to the bubble network. Barney sees that there are a lot of malfunctions in his Bebot, and it has to be connected to the bubble network. He then puts it on charge and goes to school. He's really excited and goes on to tell everyone that he now has a Bebot as well. He even reserves a Bebot spot for him by writing his name on it. When he gets home, he sees that his room is a mess. He goes to the kitchen and finds the Bebot dancing with his grandmother. Barney then asks the Bebot what happened to his room, and it tells him that he was just trying to get to know him. Barney now gets upset. He, however, doesn't want to tell his father and decides that he's going to go to the store and exchange it. When he's on his way to the store, he runs into Rich and his friends. They start to make fun of him and his Bebot. Rich hits his Bebot and it retaliates. It amazes everyone because the retaliation feature has not been installed in any of the other Bebots. Barney likes his Bebot beating up his bullies, but he realizes that he could get in trouble for this, so he takes his Bebot and gets out of there. They go into a cornfield and lie down. The Bebot tells Barney that he is not connected to the bubble network, and that is why his security has not been updated. Barney now decides that he's not going to exchange his Bebot. In the meantime, a police car arrives because Rich has filed a complaint against Barney and his Bebot. They, along with Graham and Donka, are taken to the bubble store so that the Bebot can be crushed. They check the Bebot and it turns out that it has an illegal piece. It is now confirmed that they're going to crush it. Barney, however, decides that he's not going to let them crush his Bebot. He sneaks in the back, takes his Bebot, and hides in the playland. A lot of people come to catch Barney, and Barney smartly exchanges his Bebot for another one. They then go on to crush another Bebot. Barney still has his own Bebot. He names him Ron, a shortened version of his model number. Then we see the CEO of the tech company, Mark, telling everyone that they've sold over 100 million Bebots by now, and he wants the kids' future to turn out well with the help of the inventions. We then see one of Mark's partners who doesn't care about the well-being of the kids. He just cares about making more and more money. They are then interviewed on TV, and the host asks them about Barney's Bebot, the one that hit Rich. Mark is shocked to know this. He gets back to his company and asks about that Bebot. The people tell him that the Bebot he's talking about was crushed. Mark scolds everyone, saying that they could have checked his programming and tried to figure out the difference between that Bebot and the others. Mark is actually happy and intrigued to see Ron go against his programming, while his CEO, Andrew Morris, views it as bad publicity, believing Ron must be destroyed for the issue to be resolved. On the other hand, we see Barney teaching Ron a lot of things. He tells him about his habits, his likes, and his dislikes. Barney shows him a lot of the other Bebots in order to make his Bebot understand how it should behave with its owner. Barney then paints his Bebot so that it could look like the other ones. They have now become very good friends, and Ron has now understood Barney, and they have a lot of fun together, and Barney is really happy. One day they're having fun and Ron slips, and he ends up falling into someone else's house. It turns out that it is Barney's childhood friend Savannah's house. They used to be very good friends, but when Savannah got a Bebot, she stopped hanging out with Barney because he didn't have one. She's shocked to see Barney with a Bebot. She then asks her Bebot to become friends with Ron, but Barney tells her that his Bebot is different from the other ones. He tells her that his Bebot does not like making new friends, but Savannah doesn't believe him because Bebots are programmed to make new friends. As Ron hears this, he gets active. Barney picks up Ron to get out of there. Before he leaves, he makes the girl promise that she won't tell anyone about Ron. At night, Ron asks Barney about his friends, and Barney tells him that he has no friends. On the other hand, Mark's partner somehow gets his hands on the video of Ron and is shocked to his very core to see that this Bebot was never crushed and that it's still out there. He then instructs his people to bring Ron back. Mark also watches these videos, and he's closely examining Ron's actions, seeing that Ron is laughing as well. He gets a little weirded out because they just thought it was a dangerous Bebot, and on top of everything, Bebots are not programmed to laugh. The CEO of the company is now extremely curious. He too goes on to tell people that they have to bring Ron to him at any cost, so that he could detect the changes in that one piece that is different from all the other ones out there. The next day, Barney leaves Ron at home, and before going to school, he tells him not to go out. But after Barney leaves, Ron comes out of the house as well. He now has in his mind that he has to find new friends for Barney because Savannah said so. He goes on to print posters in the whole city with Barney's picture on it, and goes on to show his pictures to a lot of people himself. He keeps asking random people if they want to be friends with Barney. He then ends up getting into Barney's school, where he has been gathering random people to become friends with Barney. All the students gather around there, and Barney is shocked to see this. The teacher gets pissed off at Barney, and she takes him to the principal's office. As Barney gets in trouble, Rich discovers Ron's unlocked function and downloads it. He programs his Bebot just like Ron. The Bebots run wild, and in the end, after the Bebots have a patch update, Savannah is publicly humiliated. The situation becomes really chaotic, and multiple Bebots are out there out of control, and they mess with each other and the other students as well. And as the chaos goes on, Rich seems to have the best time of his life. They make a video of everything and put it on the internet. The video goes viral, and the CEO of the tech company, Mark, also gets to see the video. He's shocked to see everything and right away goes on to deactivate the software that makes all the other Bebots normal again. Barney, on the other hand, is really pissed off at Ron for getting him in trouble, and he could very much end up going back to the bubble store now that his video is everywhere. Barney's so pissed that he asks Ron to stay away from him. In the meantime, Barney's worst nightmare becomes a reality when the people from the tech company locate his house and get there. And he sees people approaching his house. He goes downstairs and sees that Ron is getting ready to hand itself over to the company people. Barney stops him and apologizes to him. He tells him that he's sorry and that they are best of friends now, so he's not going to let them take Ron away. He gets out of his house with Ron, and on the way out, he runs into Savannah, who is seriously depressed about her viral video. She has been unable to get out of her house since then. He talks to her, and he's about to go out of there. He tells her not to tell anyone about him and Ron. They go to a forest and spend the night in a shed. They sit together and start talking. Barney tells Ron that ever since his mom left, he feels very lonely. And on top of that, he has no friends either. Hearing this, Ron tells him that he's never going to leave Barney. And in the meantime, at his home, his father and grandmother start to get worried about Barney. They're not able to find him anywhere. They then go to Savannah's house and ask her if she's aware of his whereabouts, but she doesn't tell them anything. Barney's dad is now really worried and goes on to express that Barney might have left them because he was never able to understand him. On the other hand, Savannah goes to see Rich and tells him that everything has been going on with Barney is because of him. It is because they left him alone in the first place and then went on to make a video of his Bebot that went viral on the internet. And now he is being hunted by a tech company. She tells Rich that they should help Barney in his difficult time. As they talk, Mark and his partner listen to the whole conversation through a camera inside a Bebot, and they go on to program a team of Bebots and send them to the forest where Barney has been hiding with Ron. Mark now understands that he has to get to Ron before his partner can, because if his partner gets to the Bebot before him, he will crush it, and Mark will never get to know what's different in that Bebot that makes it unique. And on the other hand, Ron's battery goes dead, and he gets switched off. Barney doesn't know what he's going to do now. An army of other Bebots reaches the forest and tries to look for Barney and Ron with laser beams in the dead of the night. Due to the cold weather and Barney's asthma, he becomes weak, and Ron brings him back to civilization just outside the school, where Savannah, Rich, Noah, and Ava rush out to help him. Barney's taken to the hospital and recuperates before meeting Mark, who patched Ron, making him like every other Bebot. Barney demands that Mark access the cloud to get Ron's original personality, but Andrew took over the bubble company and locked Mark out. Through an elaborate plan for Barney, Graham, Donka, and Mark breaking into Bubble HQ, Barney manages to make it to the Bubble database, find Ron's original data by his light, and upload him back into his body, restoring him back to his original code. Seeing that Bubble has direct access to everyone's Bebot and realizing that everyone is just as lonely as he was, Barney suggests upgrading all the Bebots to have Ron's flaws. However, this means that Ron will be dispersed. Barney reluctantly says goodbye to Ron as his programming is spread to everyone, mixing Mark's friendship algorithm with Ron's code. Mark blackmails Andrew into giving his position of CEO back after secretly recording him admitting that the Bebots spy on their owners for profit. 3 months later, everyone has a faulty Bebot, but is happy with their wild and weird personalities. Barney, who's now allowed back in school, no longer has one, but has become more sociable and has gotten close to his former friends. As they hang out at recess, a giant bubble tower that overlooks Nonsuch produces Ron's face. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.